Good morning and happy Wednesday. Hope everyone is doing well. If you catch this live or in the replay, just so you know, this is Mastery of the Middle. And if you're new to PJC, Mastery of the Middle is a very specific topic. It doesn't sound like it, I know, in ways if you just heard this term. But the reason for talking about Mastery of the Middle is it is a time period that all companies, all individuals, all entrepreneurs go through as they are scaling their dream. The period between, I always say it's between goal or setting the goal and then reaching the goal is an easy way to understand it. Now, why do we talk about that so much here? Very simple reason. No one can escape it. Everybody goes through it, and it has the exact same phases or I would even call it initiation periods that we all have to endure when we go on this journey. Why? Simply put, we're all trying to achieve something that is amazing and beautiful and adding value to this world. Well, guess what? There's this path that we have to walk on, and there's going to be very similar, almost identical, if not identical, goals or good morning, roadblocks that we all have to go through when we try to scale. So that's why I talk about that every week. And if you're new, every week on Wednesdays, I talk about the subject to some extent, maybe a little bit of a different facet. Like today, we're going to be talking about why we need to pivot and not quit. But in the past, I've talked about the different types of people that we need to acquire within our company, talked about why we walk through this road. There's a million other topics, and I promise you there's a million more. And that's why I like to talk about this, because it is something that none of us escape, as I said at the top. So this is a conversation that's based off of a running theme I've seen lately. And the reason I can tell you, there's a very specific reason why it's a running theme. I am around a lot of companies that have been scaling for a couple of years. So therefore, I'm able to kind of bounce ideas off of them. They bounce ideas off of me. I have actually a weekly accountability call with somebody that's actually a part of our group as well. And we discuss what we're both going through at that time period. And we kind of take it week to week and say, okay, I can support you here, you can support me there. How are you handling this? How am I handling this? Those are the kind of conversations we have. Well, yesterday's conversation was about this. This is, and then after I had spoke to them, I decided this is definitely something we need to talk about. So my conversation with her went along the lines of the fact that, again, in that time period, the mastery of the middle period, there are roadblocks. I said that already. And that's the key phrase that we need to talk about. And I've actually alluded to this many times, and I will a million times more, that at the end of the day, I truly believe this because I've seen it myself time and time again, that when I am frustrated, especially, I would say this really applies after the first year. I'd say the 1 to 4 year mark, especially, there are going to be times where you hit this spot and you literally cannot climb over it. You can't crawl through it. I mean, like, it's one of those things where you do, you try, you do try. That's my point, that you keep pushing forward. And no matter what you do, the answer doesn't come to you. And then you get more frustrated, and then you try harder, and then you get more frustrated. And then you enter into this period of resistance towards allowing the change. It's not that you don't want the change, but you almost build up this little resistance. And I always use the idea of, like, the quickest one I can think of was like kind of like the Tasmanian devil. There we go. He exerts all of this energy in order to get a small result, right? It's never that big of a result. And that's what we end up kind of doing. It's kind of that motion of getting so worked up, and then the result doesn't follow. Similar concept. So what ends up happening is you enter this period where you know enough. It's you're not a student anymore. You are an expert within your industry. You're able to answer people off the top of your head with the right answers, how to guide someone. You're there to be there. You are able to be there for somebody that might be a younger entrepreneur within your industry. There's a lot of reasons you are in a good place. You're solid. You have your plan. You've been working your plan, and you look up and there is distance between you and where you started. Yes. Okay. All those things are true. But then what do you do? Because there are going to still be roadblocks in that path. And this is one of them. Good morning from Montreal. I wonder who that is. Good morning to you as well. I hope the weather is pretty good there. I won't tell you what the weather is in Texas at the moment because you'll pack your bag and head down here. But the point of this is that there is a way through these blocks that become more sophisticated as our path becomes more sophisticated. And I've seen it a lot lately. I went through one a couple of months ago, and I will tell you one key thing that I did this time very intentionally, that probably in the past it wasn't as intentional. I sat with the discomfort for a while. And I know that sounds like the most vague answer that I can give, but it actually isn't. A lot of times what we do is when we have something that bothers us or stresses us or it's a block, we try to go into action and fix the plan or fix the problem, right? Very normal reaction. But as our companies mature, we already have tried those things. And then we go back and we try them again. Doesn't work. The best thing to do is to stop, breathe, go for a walk, go cook dinner, go out with your kids, whatever may fulfill you and also relieve some of the stress. And this goes back to the idea of changing your environment. Change your environment for the moment. Walk away. Yes, you've got things to do. We all do. But at the same time, there is a moment to walk away, take a deep breath, and then say, okay, this is the problem. I've tried these 10 things, became the Tasmanian devil in this situation, as we're talking about. And after that, then what do we have left? We're still at zero. So would it be more intentional and more appropriate at that moment to sit down and just be still for a moment? Identify what's bothering you, because most of the time for me personally, what's really bothering me is me. That's what it comes down to. It isn't the idea of that I can't fix it at the moment. It's the fact that I'm sitting there going, hold on. 2 days ago, I had it all together. What happened? It's going to happen. So again, what do you do? Resources, mentorship, networking, going back to your plan, your business plan, all of these things do count. But this is where we're going with this. Yes, we do all of those things. That's why I wanted to talk about them first. But this is a moment to look at pivoting. And what do I mean by pivoting? So allergy season is still upon us here. So week 2 of allergy season. So I'm going to be drinking coffee as we talked this morning. So what do? Pivoting. Pivoting itself sounds almost scary coming from somebody that has built things that were not in existence before I started them. And it feels almost like you are giving up on this project that you love so much. That's, again, why I say pivot, not quit. Pivoting means we refine and we try a different angle. For example, for us recently, we went ahead and found somebody that had expertise in areas that we did not, instead of waiting and waiting and waiting more. That was my block. So the answer for us was to align with someone that had the same why, the same values, wanted to accomplish the same thing in the world, and could see our vision. Okay, great. Now, guess what? Now we're rolling. We were before. Had a moment where I was like, this is not quite right. I don't know what to do. Here's my block. And instead of becoming that normal, I want to fix it Tasmanian devil style, what I did was I sat with it. I was okay with it. And it lasted a little time. It was hard. It was really hard. I won't lie. It was one of it was one of the most difficult moments so far this year for me, is just sitting with it, because I am used to jumping in, fixing. But by sitting with it, the right people aligned to us. That was the answer. And it was not the answer I anticipated. And that is the whole point. That's why pivoting is necessary with a plan. So what does that mean for somebody that might be newer? That means being open to change at every moment, which is so contrary to our human behavior. We're used to being in control and making a plan and having post-it notes to go with the plan. Sometimes it's okay not to. But one thing that I was thinking about yesterday as I was planning this out to talk about this morning, one thing I want to note, and I've talked about this before, I will caution anyone that's building a business to be very careful about where you go to help. Make sure it's vetted, make sure it comes from someone potentially that you completely trust that has helped you in the past or you've worked with in the past. Those are great places to start, okay? It doesn't always work out to be that easy, but start with the people you know and trust that see your true path forward. They support what you're trying to accomplish. That is a wonderful resource to have. When you do decide to make those pivots, they should be incremental. How do you do that? Okay, for anybody that's newer, let's go back to business strategy. That's going to always be my answer to everything. If you have the business strategy in place in the beginning, even if it is 10 goals and a timeline, you have a baseline to judge where you're going. So when we talk about a pivot, it's not a rip up the piece of paper, it didn't work out. It's a situation of, okay, this was my heading. Now, if I shift my paper just incrementally, I might have an answer that I wasn't seeing before. The other thing I was going to note when I was speaking about this today is something that I heard recently, and some of our good friends, including Montreal, will probably recognize what I'm about to say before I even say it. That because I remember she was there when I heard this. That when we are planning and scaling a business, the business we started with, this is something I've known for a long time, and then I'll add the advice on top of it. The company that we anticipated, the company that we envisioned, will never be identical to what we actually create. And that's not a negative statement. The reason is beautiful. Our idea grows. Our world grows. Our education level grows. And with all of those beautiful things that we really stick to and really see through, our vision becomes more complex and more intricate. Can be too complicated. Intricate doesn't mean complicated. But what I mean about that is what I envision, for example, us moving into accreditation is not our next step. Interestingly enough, I talked about it a little bit last week, that we are narrowing our focus to really identifying and working with single moms to help single moms gain back time and financial freedom. I always thought that was going to be a byproduct of visibility and financial success with this company. I thought then I would figure out a way to serve the community that I belong to and also I really identify with. And I want to help. I've always wanted to help other single moms become entrepreneurs. I didn't think that that was my main task. I thought it was a byproduct. I was so overjoyed when data backed up the proof that my ideal client and my calling is always going to be single moms. That just really, I can't even tell you how full my heart was at that moment. And it still makes me emotional to think about the future now. And that's why I know it's right. I know that pivot was exactly right for us because it aligns with my why. It aligns with Nesta, my business partner and fiance's why. It aligns with our other business partners' why. That's exactly what I needed. That was what I was missing. And again, back to the conversation we started with, if I kept spinning and trying and banging my head against the wall, I would not have come up with that answer on my own because I thought it was too abstract of an answer. I thought that being my target was not going to be financially beneficial because, again, if we want to do outreach, we have to have capital. Capital then goes ahead and widens our scope of what we can accomplish, right? So that was already in my head. And then to hear analytical data that is been generated, it was a huge report that we went through to realize single moms is my path, are my path. my need to serve single moms and also be able to create a sustainable resource for them goes hand in hand. That was huge. So, to the point of this conversation, by sitting with it and listening, I was able to hear the right answer that I didn't have on my own. That's the whole reason for a pivot. And that's why we have to be open to them. And the one thing why I said pivot, not quit, is I want everybody to understand as you're growing a company, there are many times that you'll be sitting there and you really need somebody else's opinion at that moment. And unfortunately, you're alone. I have those people on speed dial that are very reasonable. They know you inside and out because that's what I do. But in the moment, it's easy to feel like, oh, well, everybody's going to see that I failed. No, I promise you, we always have a fan club out there. And the fan club are the ones that are going to love us and know what we are trying to accomplish. The ones that are not our fan club, it's okay. Doesn't matter what they think. This gets back to the idea of being the popular kid in high school. It was all a perception. It was an illusion, in fact. It's not real. And this is the same thing. Every person that may follow you or every person that may watch a video from you has a different perception of you anyways, and you can't control it. So why start now? Pivot, never quit. Know that you are walking a path that other entrepreneurs have gone through, the same roadblocks, the same frustrations, the same tears. I guarantee most of us, if not all of us, have Kleenex. Mine is right there. Because there's days I need it. There's days I've sat here and cried. There's days I've thrown my computer shut, not too forcefully because I need it, but I've closed it quite forcefully and walked away. There's days I've flopped on the couch. There are days where I went and laid in bed. There are days I just walk into the kitchen and start cooking and I don't even close my computer because I have had enough. That's okay. Those days are expected because the amazing days are always right behind the frustration. So that was the one last thing that I wanted to share with everyone. That one thing that I can tell you statistically, walking this path for a very long time now, is every time you hit a roadblock, there is something beautiful right behind it. In fact, I wasn't planning on this, and I don't think I have my phone in front of me. Believe it or not, I think I forgot that behind me. Anyways, there is a saying. I've used it before. I found it again yesterday, and it was perfect timing. The thing that we need the most is right on the other side of what we fear. And I'm paraphrasing. I apologize. If anybody would like the quote, please send me a message. And I can give you the official one, not the Marisa one. The point to that, and I've used that for about the last 3 years, almost 3 years now, that what we need is on the other side of that fear. So if we stop ourselves from that progression and from that process of not just evolution, but changing who we are to be that person that can lead the movement that you are creating. If we can't keep that evolution process, then we let the fear win. And I had that moment earlier in this week. I laughed about it and I said, if I stop now, the fear wins. I won't stop. So pivoting means not quitting. It's a refinement. And here's the good news. The ideas that you had that went along with that last iteration of what you were doing, they're not gone. They can still be added in. I have a long-term plan that we just went ahead and kind of shifted the perspective. And now we're going, like I said, we are taking our program that's so beautiful and I'm very proud of, and we're making sure it works within the lives of single moms with their time frame, with the fact that they, most single moms, this is just fact, have potentially a high school diploma. They're very lucky if they have a certification or an associate's degree. So we looked at this as we are creating the baseline for possibility. That's my first goal. That before, if we just talk to somebody that has been in corporate America for a while, they probably their children are late high school, early college, the education would be totally different because of the fact that they have been normally, probably, most likely, a person that has been very familiar with social media and what possibilities there are online, and they keep up with probably some news and technology and those things. Whereas with a single mom, we have to teach them what those are first. So we're going to be adding a program in between. There you go. That's the way that we decided to add or to make it more appropriate for a single mom. Wonderful points about pivoting and change. Thank you, Lee. Um, that's the whole point. But the idea is, okay, when we shifted the perspective and we really narrowed in that my calling is to always serve single moms, the other parts of the program are not discarded. And that to me, the reason why I bring this up is always my sign that our pivot was not bad. It was meant to be. It was meant to happen, and it was the right decision for all of us because it feels right. The data lines up, and everyone is on board, and everybody can feel this is the direction we are going. Those are the kind of things I look for because we are really different when it comes to our corporate environment as well that we're creating. So I hope from the bottom of my heart this was helpful today. Lee, thank you for your words too. Thank you, Montreal, as well. Thank you, thank you. If you catch this in the replay or, like I said, live, but especially the replay, if you have any questions about this or you're stuck, we are a great resource to bounce the ideas off of. We have a team that works with business strategy, and they do it more on the consultant level, so they're not going to jump in and tell you exactly your steps, but they're going to give you a guide and help you with that to start out. So that's something that is always available for anyone that needs it as well. Only reason I'm bringing that up is because I hate seeing stuck entrepreneurs. It really bothers me. So if you need the help, we are here for you. Also, networking, as we've always talked about, if anybody is new and catching this in the replay, please remember that we are here ultimately to network with amazing women in this group. Please jump in, network, get started, and meet 3 or 4 new people that are also building their businesses. We're also a great resource for that as well. So thank you very much. I hope this was helpful for the right person because I needed it a couple weeks ago. Or I should say, yeah, a little more than a month ago. But now I'm feeling very good about all the changes we've gone through. Now it's nothing but forward again and refining a couple, like I said, like a new program that would be more appropriate for a baseline. And then we're going to be moving into new territory that I didn't even anticipate again. I didn't see that all this coming, and I'm super excited. And I will share with everybody as we update, or I should say, add the new things that I'm talking about because I'm not the expert in those areas. So I'm not even going to try to explain it at the moment. But as we really get through this next expansion in the next couple of months, I will continue to share it with everyone because hopefully this helps other people think outside the box as well from what you originally thought. That is the goal here. So we will be back on Friday. Lee and I will be live, and I promise you, and this is she's gonna laugh when she hears this. I promise you, we're not going to be in matching jammies. I made sure of it this week and went and found some new jammies that are definitely not in Alethia's closet yet. I can't make any guarantees in a week or so, but at this moment, I have the exclusive rights to them. So hopefully we are not in matching jammies this week. Lee, that is a big warning to you that it's now on your shoulders. So hopefully she'll get that message. I love having this conversation. And she heard that. I love having this conversation because it really, I will tell you, it does more for me than I think anybody could anticipate. Even myself, I didn't see it before, loud and clear. That this is wonderful. This is a wonderful way for us to really process things and identify some things that could trip us up and make us stop, and it doesn't need to. So hopefully this is what everybody else needed to hear today too. We'll be back on Friday. Lee will be back on Monday, and I'll be back next Wednesday with a further conversation about mastery of the middle. And I hope everybody has an absolute wonderful day. Unfortunately here, as much as it's nice, this is the 3rd day in a row of pretty bad rain, which is kind of rough on me. But, you know, it's okay. We're getting through it. I am going to be working more low energy today and more in my creative bubble than necessarily than me being on 5-6 meetings in a row, which, you know, happens to all of us at times. So I'm grateful, so grateful to not have a huge amount of meetings today. And we'll get through the day together, and we're here to support each other. So if you need anything, you can always reach out, and have an absolutely wonderful, beautiful day. And please feel free to jump into our group and share your wins as well, because we all want to be there to cheer you on as well. So have a great day. I'll see you Friday Live with Lee.